All right, music fans, welcome back. Harmless Dave here, talking about real music in real time for a few real people out there just like you and just like me. All right, so we're going to address this Eagles thing a little bit more and what that might mean for people going to concerts today. Um, the punchline would be, well, if the Eagles are doing this, if, again, I can't prove that they're doing it. I'm not for sure saying that they're definitely doing this because I don't want to get into a legal battle with anybody on this. So this video is for entertainment purposes only. It's kind of like the medium that is going to do your horoscope. This is for entertainment purposes only. All right. So let me just be clear about that. I don't want any people knocking on my door saying, hey, did you do a video saying that the Eagles are faking everything? No, but they might be. They might be. Just like I might be doing a video right now. Before I get to actually try to do this video, here's a band that isn't faking anything for sure. Kinfo, Cheaper Than the Truth. Their website says, hey, we're like the Charlie Daniels Band and Alabama combined. And I'm like, okay, where can I sign up for that? You know, and I went and listened, and there's this tune they do called Sunny in 72. It just makes you feel good listening to it. You know, the late Toby Keith, that's his kind of thing. I think Sunny in 72, right? Just makes you feel good. So you need some music that will make you feel good in today's crazy world. All right. So Kinfo, please check it out. You'll like the band. They've got a brand new song out too. I can't remember the name of it, but go look for it. You will like it. So the Eagles issue, by the way, when I say the Eagles issue, there are some people on YouTube that have dug into some of these live performances, and what they're finding is that the vocal tracks at different concerts in different places, the vocal tracks appear to be identical according to them, right? And again, if you're involved with some legal stuff and you want to ask questions, look, I'm not that guy. I am reporting on what they are reporting on. Okay, so I'm a secondhand Dave here. I'm not a firsthand Dave. I don't have the technical skills. I don't have the audio equipment to go through the sound waves and make these determinations. But I look at these people as music doctors, and they've found the same heartbeat. Look at it that way, in two different locations, right? Two different concerts at two different times. And typically the heartbeat has some variance to it, but they found that it was identical. So what are the mathematical probabilities that that would be occurring? And I think they explain this, by the way, in the video. So I'm here to kind of say what's next. I mean, first of all, the Eagles are a band that always prided themselves on live performances. Hell Freezes Over is brilliant. I listened to that album over and over again. Loved it. Loved the acoustics, the unplugged nature of many of the songs. Everybody was on their best behavior. Joe Walsh was actually sober for the first time in, well, I don't know, since kindergarten, probably. And they sounded great. And then you had Eagles Live, which I know has overdubs. And I'm not going to say overdubs aren't a thing, because they are. And it's a bit of cheating. But as far as the main body of sound coming from the stage, the vocals, I mean, you can kind of remix the vocal where it will come through and sound bigger and richer, but it is that vocal. It's just, hey, if you're a tech guy, you know what I'm talking about, because you can beefing up the vocals coming from certain places within that stereo spectrum. And it's really interesting because it'll put you like you're right in the middle. That's what Eagles Alive did. It made you feel like you're like right in the middle and not like off to the side or anything. Like you're right there. And to me was a really high bar. It's one of the better live albums. You gotta, I mean, if you're a live album fan, you'll immediately talk about, like Waiting for Columbus by Little Feat. Just spectacular live album, just from start to finish. Frampton Comes Alive, duh, right? Sound quality on Frampton Comes Alive did get better with the remasters. In the early days, it was a little bit muddy in places, but it had so much energy that it just like got into your speakers, and it was like going to Walgreens. No, I'm just kidding. It wasn't anything like going to Walgreens. It was like not going to Walgreens. So yeah, overdubs, sure. Main body of sound coming from the stage. Thanks to all the people over on YouTube who are diligent and they're sound experts. Again, I'm not the one doing the discovery here. I'm reporting on what they reported or what they found out. So again, if you have a legal issue, you got a problem, and I'm not saying that these guys have any legal problems with anybody, but again, you're making this accusation. You're putting it out there saying, I don't know if these vocals are live vocals. They might be, a pre-recorded vocal and they're being used in different locations. Maybe, possibly. We don't know for sure. I don't want any lawsuits coming my way. By the way, the camera angles and the camera shots of Don Henley, where his mouth, right, it's supposed to match what is coming out because he's singing it, right? At times I saw a few discrepancies. Now, you can make the allegation that somebody is filming on their cell phone and their phone might be glitching out a little bit. So maybe it's the glitch that is causing the gap between the actual sound and the mouthing of that actual sound. Okay. So that might be one explanation. Like somebody who's trying to explain to me how safe and effective these products are because, well, they're fine. These other people over here, they're obviously not fine, but I'm fine. So that's my argument. Okay, so your phone is glitching out. Maybe. So, the camera angles don't make a good case for the Eagles here. It just kind of digs the hole a little deeper. So what's next? Well, I'm wondering how this will stop. All right. Two things can happen. One of two things can happen. First, these bands can stop touring. They can retire. It's time. In most cases, it's time. Now, if the Eagles are doing this, what about Steely Dan? They're on tour with the Eagles, right? Dave, are you accusing Steely Dan of the same thing the Eagles are up to? No, but it's plausible, right? You got one original guy in the band who happens to be named Don or Donald. That's a weird coincidence, right? Guy's named Don for 200. And Donald Fagen, he sounds a lot different than he used to. I mean, his voice has gotten much thinner and higher. He's kind of lost that resonance. It's a lot same thing that's happened to Kevin Cronin when you listen to the old Kevin Cronin and the current Kevin Cronin. But I think it might even be more pronounced with Donald Fagen. But Steely Dan's music, right? It's so instrumental and it's so on its own that the vocal is almost, it's almost like an add-on. If you could just listen to those songs, without vocals, you would still probably love the concert. And because Steely Dan, they sing about all this weird stuff and it's hard to understand all the lyrics in the songs. So you wouldn't have to try to figure out or pretend you're at the show and all the words to say Peg, especially with Michael McDonald in there and he's, you can't understand him. I'm sorry. I love Michael McDonald, but there are times when it's unintelligible what he is singing, not what he's saying. I understand him better when he talks, but when he sings, I don't really understand what he's saying. Okay, so fans can stop attending these concerts, but they won't. Fans probably at some point need to understand that this is more about nostalgia than about hearing or seeing a great show. And here's the deal, folks. It's over. It had a great run. Look at what, 40, 50 years in some cases. Bands like Chicago are pushing 60 years. The Rolling Stones, they're on tour. Are they getting help? Is Chicago getting help? Who knows? There's a good chance that someone's getting help out there. Now, I'm thinking, now this is going to sound mean, but as you get older, I think it might get harder to do the whole miming thing. Although you might be a pro, or if the cameras aren't focused on you, the only people really seeing this stuff going on and who aren't maybe drinking the $14 beer are those people like in the front row again, who are completely sober. They might grab their phone and start recording, and that might not be good for your band moving forward because people will find out what you're doing. Again, I'm not accusing Chicago or the Stones or any of these bands that are still out there. REO Speedwagon, Kevin Cronin. I'm not accusing any of them of doing any of this stuff because I can't prove it. But there's a guy on YouTube and it looks pretty convincing. Okay. That's all I'm going to say. Here's my solution, right? So I did a little showcase of this band at the beginning. And I'm kind of serious about this. It's like when the two political parties kind of stink, what do? Well, you start a new political party, right? You start a new movement. You don't go, well, we're just going to resuscitate this old political party. And man, in this year's election cycle, you got one guy who's old, and then you got another guy who's even older. So it's kind of like, wouldn't it be cool if something came along that wasn't as old and that could still perform, still play their music? In fact, play it really well, make their studio tunes sound even better, because when you hear them live, they're just like right in your face, because that's what good live music is supposed to be like. Kinfo, they can do that stuff, right? That's why I showcase bands like Kinfo when I'm talking about Eagles or something that's a kind of a country twang to it to some degree. Talking about Flatland Cavalry, which is just really a cool band. I had somebody send me messages back going, man, that was a good find. I'm like, yeah, well, there's stuff out there, but people are talking about the Eagles. People are talking about whether the Eagles are doing a mime routine or are they playing their songs, and it's probably both, right? So fans are going to have to realize that, it's almost over. And the only way it just completely goes away is when fans stop paying $300 or $400 for a ticket to see a circus routine rather than the music they grew up loving. Now, a lot of fans are just going to be fooled. I would call them normie fans, that they know the music. They might even have an understanding they may have made a deal with this idea internally. Yeah, I know they're probably getting a little bit of help, but I'm going to go anyway because of what? The nostalgia, right? But what happens when all these guys can't perform anymore? The other thing that can happen, other than retirement, is the band can hire new people. Blood, Sweat, and Tears did that, right? I don't know if they're still out there doing that. Their music has fallen out of fashion. Radio isn't really playing it anymore. Great band, should be in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. I mean, if Chicago is in, BS&T, fantastic band, they should be in. David Clayton Thomas, insane. They're not in, but they hire people to do what the old band used to do. They've only got the singer thing right once. That's when they had, I think it was when Bo Bice was the singer. He was just like amazing. I thought that was a match made in heaven, and he would take that band and revitalize it and bring it up to new heights, but he left. They parted ways with him. Anyway, that's the model for keeping this going and having it not be a fake concert, having it be legitimate. And all the people that are going to complain about that's not the original band, well, here's proof that the original band either A, can't do it, or B, doesn't want to do it. And the B might be because of the A. So where do you go? You go either to new stuff or you go to revitalized bands with new personnel, overseen, of course, by all of the old guys who are going to do, you know, quality assurance. They're going to make sure that their product is good when it hits the stage and it replicates what the band did in their prime. So anyway, just a little bit of food for thought here. One more time for Kinfo, just an amazing band, a little like Charlie Daniels, a little like Alabama, according to them. Good guys. These guys are road dogs. They're always out there performing in Texas. So if you live in Texas or you're going to Texas, go find some Kinfo and hang out. They're good guys, and they'd love to see you at one of their shows. I'm Dave. Thanks for hanging out with me. God bless everyone. Please continue to pray for peace in the Middle East and around the world and in your own mind and in your own heart. And I will talk to you soon.